Let me ask you something honestly. How many opportunities have you lost, not because you were not good enough, but because you did not say the right thing at the right moment? One sentence can open a door that changes your career. One careless sentence can close a door for years. A job interview, a business meeting, a relationship conversation. Sometimes the difference between success and regret is not talent. It is communication. Think about this. Two people walk into the same room. Both have similar skills. Both studied hard. Both are intelligent. But when they start speaking, something changes. One speaks clearly, calmly, confidently. The other speaks fast, nervous, unclear. Who gets trusted? Who gets remembered? Who gets the promotion? Communication is not decoration. It is leverage. Many people believe something dangerous. They believe that if they are smart enough, hardworking enough, technically skilled enough, success will come automatically. If I'm good at my job, that's enough. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Skill gets you hired. Communication gets you promoted. You can be brilliant, but if you cannot explain your ideas clearly, someone less skilled but more articulate will lead the project. You can work hard for years, but if you cannot express your value, someone else will speak louder and take the credit. This is not unfair. This is reality. There is even research that shows how powerful this is. Psychologist Albert Mehrabian's communication model suggests that in emotional communication, only a small part of the message comes from the actual words. Around 55% comes from body language, and 38% from tone of voice. The words themselves carry much less weight when emotions are involved. Now, this does not mean words do not matter. They absolutely do. But it means this: how you say something often matters more than what you say. Imagine someone saying, "I'm confident," but their shoulders are closed, their voice shakes, and their eyes avoid contact. Do you believe them? Probably not. Now imagine someone saying very simple words, but standing straight, breathing calmly, speaking with steady tone. You believe them. Why? Because communication is not only language. It is energy. It is presence. This is why communication equals influence. And influence equals opportunity. Leaders are not always the smartest people in the room. Often, they are the clearest thinkers and the clearest speakers. They know how to explain complex ideas in simple language. They know how to make people feel heard. They know how to create trust in a few minutes. That trust becomes relationship capital. And relationship capital becomes doors, partnerships, and income. Communication builds reputation. Reputation builds respect. Respect builds power. Now let's connect this to your English learning. You may think you are just practicing listening, but you are doing something deeper. When you train your ear to understand clear English, you're also training your mind to think clearly. Clear English equals clear thinking. When your sentences are structured, your thoughts become structured. When your thoughts are structured, your confidence rises. Communication is not about using difficult vocabulary. It is not about sounding impressive. It is about being understood. Some of the most powerful speakers in the world use simple words, short sentences, clear pauses. They are not trying to show intelligence. They are trying to create clarity. And clarity is power. So from this moment, stop thinking of communication as a soft skill. It is not soft. It is strategic. It is economic. It is psychological. It is leadership. You do not need to be perfect. You need to be intentional. You need to understand that every time you speak, you are either building your future or weakening it. Every conversation is practice. Every meeting is training. Every sentence is shaping how the world sees you. Communication is not about sounding smart. It is about making others feel safe, clear, and inspired. Before you speak, you are already speaking. Before you finish your first sentence, people have already formed an impression about you. This is not theory. It is psychology. Research on first impressions shows that people make rapid judgments within seconds. Some studies suggest that within the first 7 seconds, others decide whether you seem confident, trustworthy, competent, or unsure. That means your presence enters the room before your words do. So let's build that presence. First, posture. Your body is your first message. When you stand or sit with your shoulders slightly back, chest open, chin level, you signal stability. When you collapse your shoulders, look down, or cross yourself tightly, you signal insecurity or defensiveness. Even if you feel nervous inside, adjusting your posture changes how others see you, and interestingly, how you feel. Your body sends feedback to your brain. Open posture increases feelings of confidence. Closed posture increases stress. Second, eye contact. There is a simple rule you can practice immediately, the 3 to 5 second rule. When you speak to someone, hold eye contact for about 3 to 5 seconds before naturally shifting. Not staring, not avoiding, just steady connection. Too little eye contact makes you seem unsure. Too much feels aggressive. Balanced eye contact says, I am present. I respect you. I am not hiding. Third, the micro smile. Not a fake, exaggerated smile. Just a small, relaxed upward expression. A micro smile softens your face and makes you approachable. It reduces tension in your jaw and signals warmth. People feel safer around someone whose face is calm and slightly positive. Fourth, breathing. This is your secret weapon. Most people speak while holding shallow breath in their chest. That creates a shaky voice and rushed words. Instead, take one slow breath into your belly before you speak. Inhale gently. Exhale slowly. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the calm system. Calm breath equals calm tone. Now let's talk about your voice. Your voice is not just sound. It is emotional signal. 3 elements matter most: pitch, pace, and pause. Pitch is how high or low your voice sounds. If you speak with one flat pitch, people lose interest. If you stay too high, you sound anxious. If you stay too low, you sound bored. Vary your pitch naturally. When sharing something exciting, let your tone rise slightly. When making an important point, lower your pitch a little. Variation creates engagement. Pace is speed. Many nervous speakers talk too fast. When you rush, you sound unsure and people struggle to follow you. Slow down slightly. Not dramatically slow, just intentional. Clear speakers use pace strategically. Faster when telling a story. Slower when delivering a key idea. And then there is the most underrated tool, the strategic pause. After you make an important statement, pause for 2 to 3 seconds. Silence feels uncomfortable at first, but silence creates authority. It gives people time to absorb your message. It shows that you are not afraid of space. Leaders are comfortable with silence. Inexperienced speakers try to fill every second. Breath is your confidence anchor. Whenever you feel pressure in a meeting or conversation, return to your breath. One deep inhale. One steady exhale. Your tone will stabilize immediately. Now let's connect body and voice. A nervous body creates a nervous voice. If your shoulders are tight and your breathing is shallow, your voice will shake. If your breathing is slow and your posture is open, your tone becomes stable and grounded. Body and voice must align. If they fight each other, people feel inconsistency. Here are a few simple English lines you can practice to build presence and fluency at the same time. Let me think for a moment. Pause. Breathe. Eye contact. That's a great question. Micro smile. Calm tone. Here's what I believe. Lower pitch slightly. Speak slowly. These are simple sentences. But when delivered with calm posture, steady breath, and controlled pace, they sound powerful. Remember this insight. Before people trust your ideas, they trust your energy. If your energy feels rushed, defensive, or chaotic, your message loses weight. If your energy feels grounded and clear, even simple words carry authority. Once your presence is strong, your words begin to carry weight. Now we move to the real core of communication. Not speaking, not vocabulary, not even confidence. The true core of leadership communication is emotional intelligence and deep listening. Because anyone can talk. Very few people can make others feel understood. Let's begin with something powerful, but simple neuroscience. Inside your brain, there is a small structure called the amygdala. Its job is survival. It scans for danger. When it senses threat, criticism, disrespect, rejection, it activates fight or flight. Your heart beats faster. Your tone changes. Your words become sharp. This is reaction mode. Then there is another part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex. This is your thinking brain. It handles reasoning, empathy, long-term decisions, and wise responses. But here's the key. When the amygdala is triggered strongly, the prefrontal cortex goes partially offline. This is sometimes called amygdala hijack. You say things you regret. You interrupt. You defend too fast. The good news? You can interrupt the hijack. A simple 3-second pause can help reset the thinking brain. 1 slow breath. Count silently. 1, 2, 3. That short pause reduces emotional intensity and brings the prefrontal cortex back online. This is the difference between reacting and responding. Leaders respond. They do not react. Now let's build the skill that separates average communicators from exceptional ones. Active listening. Most people listen to reply. Powerful communicators listen to understand. Here is a simple 4-step active listening framework you can apply immediately. Step 1. Listen fully. No interrupting. No preparing your answer while they speak. Maintain eye contact. Slight nod. Calm posture. Let them finish. Step 2. Reflect. This is where the echo technique becomes powerful. Repeat a key word or feeling in a natural way. Example. I've been feeling overwhelmed at work lately. You respond. Overwhelmed. Or, that project took me 3 months. You respond. 3 months? That's a long time. This shows you're engaged. It invites them to go deeper. Step 3. Validate. Validation does not mean agreement. It means acknowledging their emotion. You can say, I can see why that would be frustrating. That makes sense. I understand how that feels. When people feel validated, their nervous system relaxes. Their amygdala calms down. Now real conversation becomes possible. Step 4. Clarify. Ask gentle questions to understand more. Can you tell me more about that? What was the hardest part for you? What would you like to happen next? Now notice something important. You are not dominating the conversation. You are guiding it. And that is leadership. Let's also clarify an important difference. Empathy versus sympathy. Sympathy says, that's sad. It creates distance. Empathy says, I understand how that feels. It creates connection. Sympathy looks down. Empathy stands beside. When someone shares pain, avoid minimizing it. Do not say, it's not a big deal. Instead say, that sounds difficult. Or, I can imagine how heavy that feels. These small differences change relationships completely. Now let's talk about boundaries, because emotional intelligence does not mean being soft or allowing disrespect. This is where the broken record technique becomes powerful again. If someone pushes your limits, you calmly repeat your boundary without anger. I'm not available for that. I'm not comfortable with this. I won't be able to agree to that. Repeat calmly. No sarcasm. No emotional tone. Just steady repetition. Boundaries delivered calmly earn respect. Strong communicators are not loud. They are regulated. Here's the deeper insight. People rarely remember your exact sentences. But they always remember how they felt around you. Did they feel judged? Did they feel rushed? Or did they feel safe? Safety is the foundation of trust. And trust is the foundation of influence. If someone feels safe with you, they will share ideas. They will collaborate. They will support you. They will recommend you. They will trust your leadership. Let's practice some useful English phrases that build emotional intelligence while improving fluency. It sounds like you're under a lot of pressure. I appreciate you sharing that with me. Let me make sure I understand you correctly. Would you like advice, or do you just need someone to listen? Notice how calm and respectful these sentences feel. Practicing them improves your English vocabulary and your emotional maturity at the same time. Also build your emotional vocabulary. Instead of only saying angry or sad, expand your language. Frustrated, disappointed, anxious, overwhelmed, hurt, confused, excited, grateful. The more precise your emotional vocabulary, the more precise your communication becomes. And precision builds trust. Here is the final truth of this section. When people feel understood, they start to trust you. When they trust you, they listen to you. And when they listen to you, you influence without force. That is the core of leadership communication. And once trust is built, your words carry more weight than volume ever could. Now we move from being a clear speaker to becoming a memorable communicator. Clear communication earns respect. Memorable communication earns influence. And influence opens doors. Let's start with storytelling. There is a reason stories have survived for thousands of years. Long before books, long before the internet, humans shared wisdom around fire through stories. Neuroscience helps explain why. Research shows that when we hear a compelling story, our brain releases dopamine, which increases focus and memory. When the story carries emotional connection, oxytocin is released, which increases empathy and trust. In simple words, stories make people pay attention and feel connected. Facts inform. Stories transform. But storytelling is not about being dramatic. It is about structure. Use this simple framework. Situation, struggle, shift, lesson. Situation, set the context. Where were you? What was happening? Struggle, what challenge appeared? What tension existed? Shift, what changed? What decision was made? Lesson, what did you learn? For example, instead of saying, discipline is important, you might say, 3 years ago, I kept saying I wanted to improve my English. That was the situation. The struggle was that I studied only when I felt motivated. Some days I worked hard. Most days I did nothing. Then one day I realized motivation was unreliable. That was the shift. I decided to study just 15 minutes every day, no matter what. The lesson? Discipline creates progress when motivation disappears. Now the idea is not just heard. It is felt. Stories create mental images. And when people see pictures in their minds, they remember you longer. Next, let's talk about smart humor. Humor is not about telling jokes like a comedian. It is about creating lightness. Psychological research suggests that laughter reduces cortisol, the stress hormone. When stress decreases, people become more open, more flexible, more cooperative. Humor lowers defenses. The safest and most powerful form of humor in professional communication is self-deprecating humor. Light jokes about yourself, not about others. For example, in a presentation, you might say, I used to think I was great at time management, until I tried managing my own calendar. Small smile. Pause. This signals humility. Humility builds trust. But there are rules. Never use humor to insult someone. Never use sarcasm to hide anger. Never overdo it. Humor is seasoning, not the main dish. Used wisely, humor makes you relatable. And relatability builds influence. Now let's explore vulnerability, the most misunderstood skill in communication. Many people think vulnerability means weakness. In reality, vulnerability builds credibility. There is a concept often called the trust equation. Trust increases when credibility and reliability are combined with authenticity. You can be competent and consistent, but if you never show your real human side, people will not fully connect with you. Vulnerability does not mean oversharing trauma or emotional chaos. It means sharing meaningful lessons from real experiences. For example, in a leadership setting, instead of pretending perfection, you might say, when I first became a team leader, I made the mistake of trying to control everything myself. I thought that showed strength, but I burned out quickly. I learned that delegation is not weakness, it's strategy. Notice what happened. You admitted imperfection. You shared growth. You delivered a lesson. That is healthy vulnerability. Research in organizational psychology shows that leaders who appropriately share struggles are perceived as more authentic and more trustworthy. Authenticity strengthens influence. But remember, share the lesson, not the wound. Share insight, not raw emotional chaos. Vulnerability must be intentional, not uncontrolled. When you combine storytelling, smart humor, and thoughtful vulnerability, something powerful happens. People stop just hearing you. They begin feeling connected to you. And connection creates influence. Influence creates opportunity. Opportunities in career, in leadership, in relationships, in networking, in English-speaking environments. When you tell a story clearly, add light humor wisely, and share authentic lessons thoughtfully, you become more than a speaker. You become someone people remember. Because memorable communicators do not just deliver information. They create emotional experience. And now comes the most important shift of all. At this point, this is no longer about techniques. It is no longer about memorizing tips or practicing phrases. This is about identity. Most people say, "I want to speak better," but that keeps communication as a goal outside of them. The real transformation begins when you shift from desire to identity. Not, "I want to speak better," but "I am becoming someone who communicates with clarity and calm power." When communication becomes part of who you are, everything changes. You don't wait for the perfect moment. You don't wait for perfect English. You don't wait to feel fully confident. You show up with intention. You speak with awareness. You listen with presence. Here is a simple 30-day framework you can start today. Every day, practice one intentional pause before responding in a conversation. Just one breath. One moment of awareness. Share one short story instead of one dry opinion. Use the situation, struggle, shift, lesson model. Keep it simple. Ask one empathetic question. How did that make you feel? Or, what was the hardest part for you? And adjust your tone consciously at least once. Slow down. Lower your pitch slightly. Add a confident pause. Small daily actions create powerful communication habits. Remember this, you do not need perfect English. You need clear intention. Clarity is more powerful than complexity. Calm energy is stronger than loud words. If this message resonated with you, like this video if you want to speak with strength, not just volume. Subscribe to Inspire English Stories for more content that builds your English and your inner leadership at the same time. And comment below, "I choose to speak with clarity." Because in the end, the way you speak shapes the way the world sees you.